Hi, this is Kate from Generate Magic, and today I want to talk about dealing with feelings of guilt and struggling to forgive yourself. And so what inspired me to make this video was recently I watched an episode of a show called Rochester, and I'm not too familiar with the show. I was watching it with my parents, but essentially the show revolves around a priest, and the priest was involved in an accident involving a child, and apparently the child died, and so now the priest is feeling a lot of responsibility and a lot of guilt over what happened. But he refuses to talk about it with anybody else. He's very much in denial. And so I think the show is a great illustration, right, of how when we're dealing with this feeling of guilt, it not only hurts us, but it really hurts everybody around us as well, right? Whenever we, just try to stuff it down, or whenever we're not really dealing with it in the correct way, right? We're just kind of in denial about it. And so also the show deals with these ex-prisoners, and they kind of live, I guess like you would call it a halfway house, where they're essentially doing favors for the church. And one of these ex-prisoners, he very much feels responsible for his lover's death. And so he tries to get the priest to pray with him. But the priest is unable to really concentrate because he's dealing with his own inner demons. He's dealing with his own guilt. And so the priest, he leaves the room, he goes into the church, and he's basically begging God to give him some sort of relief. But he still doesn't find the relief that he's looking for. And so then he turns to alcohol, he turns to pills. And of course, all of these things only provide a temporary sense of relief from the heaviness that he's feeling. And so I think the show does a really good illustration, right, of how, a lot of times when we're experiencing guilt or any unpleasant emotions, we turn to these outside sources, right? Whether it's an outside God, whether it's another person that we think will save us, or whether it's an addiction, right? Like a substance or food or whatever it is that we use to numb our emotions, right? Or to run away from ourselves. And in each case, it never really works, right? Because we're not going within. And so one line that I really like in the show is they're talking about this home for the ex-prisoners, and the person who's in charge of the home says that he doesn't keep any sort of criminal records, even though they were all former criminals, because he says that he wants them to come into this home with a clean slate. And in the same way, each and every moment, each and every now and moment, we can see it as a clean slate, and we can see it as a chance, as an opportunity to really start anew and to wipe away whatever it is that's plaguing us. And in A Course in Miracles, they talk about forgiveness of sin, but it's not the definition of sin that you're probably used to hearing. And so the definition of sin is basically seeing yourself as anything less than whole, complete, or perfect in the eyes of God. It's seeing everything through this lens of separation, through this lens of lack, instead of through the lens of love. But the good news is that in each and every moment, right, is an opportunity to correct this sense of separation, right? To correct this perceived sense of lack. And so it's not, and again, this kind of goes into, feeling it real or like wish fulfilled. And for a long time, I thought this too, right? That it was just kind of this feeling that, you have to kind of hang on to. And at the back of your mind, there's always kind of this fear, right? That you'll fall out of it, and then you'll just kind of have to claw your way back up again. But it's really not like that at all. It's really, and once you kind of see it as, okay, each and every moment is a clean slate, and each and every moment is the chance to connect with the divine consciousness within me, to connect with that love that's really at the fabric of this universe, right? And to feel that love within me. And so then the path becomes so much shorter, right? And so I think I made a video about this recently, right? Instead of seeing it as a summit that we have to climb, and then even if we get to the top, right, we can always get knocked back down, just seeing each moment, right, as perfect in and of itself, and seeing each moment as a new opportunity. And I found too, specifically when it comes to dealing with these heavy emotions like guilt, I find tapping, or you can call it EFT, to be really helpful. And I will link to a video below from Brad Yates. And because the thing too, there's guilt can manifest in a lot of different forms. And so sometimes it can be very clear and very obvious, like in the show, but it's not just things that we said or did, right? Guilt it can also be, I think the more we learn about, manifestation and conscious creation, sometimes the harder on ourselves we can be, right? Because we have the self-awareness that we didn't have before. And so feeling guilty that we spiraled, feeling guilty that we judged somebody else or had a negative thought about somebody else. Or I caught myself today like beating myself up because in my head I was playing the victim, and I was like, there you go again, playing the victim. But of course, as we all know, right, beating ourselves up doesn't do anybody any good. And so it's really just about choosing again, right, in each and every moment. And so the video I'm going to link to, it's specifically about playing the victim. And one thing that I really like tapping is it's first acknowledging the feeling. And so it's not doing what the priest and the show does, right? It's not like you're in denial. It's not like you're trying to run away from it, but you're acknowledging it. And then it says, but I still love and accept myself, right? And so it's that radical self-acceptance, because we all know, the more we resist something, the more it persists. So it's acceptance, and then it's moving out of this victim state, right? Or moving out of the guilt or whatever kind of heavy state it is, and moving to a more empowered state. And so again, kind of remembering, going back to A Course in Miracles, just remembering that each and every moment is a clean slate, and each and every moment is a new opportunity to choose again, and to choose to see ourselves as being whole and complete and perfect in the eyes of God, and choosing to see through the lens of love instead of lack. So with that, thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.